Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that everything you've believed about yourself, your morals, your ambitions, your deepest emotions, wasn't truly yours. Not fully, not freely, not consciously chosen. What if the version of you walking around in the world was nothing more than a curated persona? A mask designed by systems you never chose, beliefs you never examined, and values passed down like heirlooms in a world too afraid to question them? Now ask yourself this. What if the real you, the authentic, raw, unconditioned core of your being, has been hidden from you your entire life? This is not just a philosophical thought experiment. This is a psychological wake-up call. And today, we are diving headfirst into the abyss of identity, repression, and self-creation, guided by the dangerous insights of Friedrich Nietzsche and the forbidden truths buried within modern psychology. This journey isn't for the faint-hearted. But if you make it to the end, you'll never look at yourself or the world the same way again. Most people are trapped in a myth of their own making, sculpted since birth by unspoken expectations. We're taught how to behave before we understand what behavior even is. We learn to please, to fit in, to obey. In families, schools, jobs, and even relationships, we're rewarded not for authenticity but for conformity. We trade pieces of ourselves for belonging. We bury our questions to avoid rejection. We become someone we think the world wants, at the cost of who we truly are. Nietzsche called this death in life, a form of unconscious existence where people move through the world on autopilot, performing identities handed down by culture and family, never daring to ask, who would I be without all this noise? Are you the author of your own life, or just an actor reading someone else's script? Nietzsche's philosophy was not designed for comfort. It was meant to unsettle you. It was meant to wake you up. He called us to destroy these illusions, to rip apart the false skins we wear, to confront the terrifying possibility that our lives have been more inherited than chosen. And from that destruction, he said, we could give birth to something higher. This is where he introduces the Übermensch. Not a superior being in the arrogant sense, but a liberated one. Someone who's had the courage to burn their old self to the ground and rise from the ashes. Self-authored, self-defined, and unshackled from the morality of the herd. But here's the hard truth. This kind of transformation doesn't come from thinking pretty thoughts. It comes from war, inner war. A brutal confrontation with the parts of yourself you've spent your life denying. Carl Jung would later call this the shadow, everything within us that we refuse to acknowledge. Our jealousy, our lust, our rage, our shame, our fear. These aren't flaws, they are facets of the human psyche, pushed underground because society told us they were too much, too dangerous, too ugly. But you can't kill the shadow by ignoring it. You only make it more powerful. You ever say something and immediately think, where the hell did that come from? You ever act out in ways that betray your values? You ever feel hijacked by emotion, drawn to self-sabotage? That's your shadow erupting. That's the ghost of your repressed self breaking through the mask. Nietzsche understood this before there were terms for it. He warned that those who never confront their inner darkness eventually become its puppet. The person who pretends to be all light and goodness. They are the most dangerous because they are the most unaware. You've seen it. The nice guy who snaps. The people pleaser who burns out. The saint who self-destructs in silence. The more we suppress our darkness, the more it metastasizes. We're told to be kind, polite, agreeable. But Nietzsche called that slave morality. Morality's invented to make us obedient, docile, and easy to control. But power isn't evil. Passion isn't evil. Desire isn't evil. They only become dangerous when we pretend they don't exist. When we deny what we really feel, we split ourselves in two. We create a public self for the world, and a hidden self that festers in secret. That's how anxiety is born. That's how dissatisfaction grows. That's how we lose the will to live authentically. So what's the alternative? Radical self-awareness. To become who you truly are, you must be willing to look your shadow in the face and say, I see you. Not judge it, not suppress it, not run from it, but integrate it, understand it, learn from it. This is not easy work. This is soul work, and it hurts. Because to question your beliefs is to question your entire life. To unlearn everything you've been told about right and wrong, love and success, worth and purpose. It feels like death. And in a way it is. It's the death of who you thought you were. But that's what Nietzsche meant when he said, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. That chaos? It's the fire of transformation. It's the tension between who you've been and who you could become. And instead of fearing it, you must learn to dance with it. You see, most people chase inner peace like it's the goal of life. But Nietzsche saw peace as a trap. The real work is not in silencing your inner conflict. It's in using it, turning it into power, turning it into growth. Your identity is not a fixed structure. It's a battlefield. And your task is to lead that war, not suppress it. Most people resist this process because it demands destruction. It means ending relationships that once defined you, letting go of careers that no longer serve you, dismantling beliefs that kept you feeling safe. It's not easy to kill your old self. But if you don't, who will you become? The answer is, no one. That's why Nietzsche said, he who cannot destroy himself cannot create himself. You are both the sculptor and the stone. So the question becomes, do you have the courage to break yourself open? Transformation isn't glamorous, it's lonely, it's terrifying. It means walking into the unknown with nothing but your own will. But if you keep going, something extraordinary happens. You realize the real secret, the truth that society desperately wants to hide from you. And that brings us to the third principle. You are not a fixed being. You are a creator of meaning. Most people think life comes with a manual, that purpose is something handed down, that if they just follow the rules of religion, culture, ideology, they'll find the meaning of life. But Nietzsche ripped that fantasy apart. When he declared, God is dead, he wasn't mocking faith. He was exposing the collapse of inherited meaning. The idea that someone else can define your existence is a lie. Meaning isn't found, it's forged. There is no grand narrative written for you, no celestial purpose waiting to be uncovered. And that's terrifying, because it means the burden of life is on you. But it's also liberating. You are free. You are terrifyingly, beautifully free. No one gets to tell you what your life means. No one gets to dictate your values. No one gets to assign your worth. You write your own story. You give your own life significance. But here's the catch. That level of freedom demands responsibility. It demands strength. It demands vision. The Übermensch is not someone who waits to be chosen. He chooses himself. He does not inherit meaning. He invents it every single day. And most people are not ready for that. They cling to old myths. They chase safety. They avoid the terrifying realization that their life is in their hands. But you, if you've made it this far, you're different. You sense that there's more, that beneath all the masks and lies, something real is waiting to be uncovered. So what will you choose? Will you stay asleep in the comfort of illusion? Or will you wake up and take the terrifying leap into the unknown? Will you play the role that society wrote for you? Or will you grab the pen and write your own script? Will you hide from the abyss? Or will you step into it, knowing that within its darkness lies the fire that will set you free? Because the abyss is not your enemy. It is your mirror. And when you finally dare to stare into it, unblinking, something powerful happens. You remember who you really are. You realize you were never meant to be domesticated, boxed in, or told what to believe. You were meant to become, to evolve, to transcend, and that process never ends. The Übermensch is not a final destination. It's a daily discipline, a refusal to settle, a devotion to growth, a commitment to transformation, again and again and again. So if this video has awakened something in you, don't let it fade. Take a step today. Just one. Question your beliefs, challenge your habits, Sit with your fears. Let go of who you were. Step into who you could be. Because real change isn't loud. It doesn't happen all at once. It's quiet, intentional, relentless. It's the kind of change that rewrites your life from the inside out. So I leave you with this. You are not the mask. You are not the role. You are not the past. You are the author. And the story of your life, it's still being written.